Hey guys, what is up? We are finally here to give away some beta keys for artifacts. Was just asked a question. Am I going to talk about the leaked cards? Yes, I am. I'm going to talk a little bit about what has been leaked, but I won't be talking about what we haven't seen yet. I will be hinting at it. So how is everyone today? How are we all doing? Hey Cabled, hey Arab, hey Gubo, hey Secrids, hey James, what is going on, guys? How are you all? I actually can't wait for this. This is gonna be good. Just because I'm finally closing up this competition that I've had running for a little bit, which is nice because then I don't have to think about it anymore. And I can just give away like card packs and other things like that, which will be nice. So, I just got posed a question. Mangoy, how you doing, Mangoy? I just got posed a question. What was my favorite hero out of all 4 colors? And what's my favorite hero in those 4 colors? So I can only talk about what has been revealed, but let's have a look quickly here. First, let's filter by hero. All right. So my favorite red hero is, where is she? Where is she? Hello, come on. Why you do this? Why you do this to me? Also, some tips for when beta starts. Oh, I've got plenty of videos on that too, ready to go. Here we go. Now, the reason Legion Commander is my favorite red hero, even though I know you've seen her from the start, you know she existed from the start, is because she has good stats. She has that 1 armor. She has that 8 damage. But the main reason why she's really good is because her duel costs only 2, and it does a lot. It controls the board. It controls the board at like all stages of the game. It makes it so any of your stronger red heroes can actually apply their high attack and their high health and their high armor, and it's generally just always good at all stages of the game. To the point where sometimes I save a duel over saving Axe's Berserker Call. Hey John, how you doing? So yeah, Berserker's Call costs 6, so mana-wise it's better to spend the Berserker's Call, right? But sometimes I save the duel over the Berserker's Call just because duel can hit anywhere on the lane, whereas Berserker's Call is only directly in front of a red hero. So unless you have this card here, let me just show you. Unless you have these on your red hero, you'll struggle. Unless you have specific cards that swap heroes, you'll struggle. And that's mostly in blue, that can swap heroes around where they are on the board. So it's a really good card. And so you'll see her in a lot of decks. You will. A lot of decks that are red at the very least. So her, Axe, these 2 are probably the top red heroes, which is surprising because they were the top 2 red heroes released when it came to artifacts. So these 2 are just really, really good. Axe because of his stats and that Berserker's Call, and Legion because of her stats and that duel. Now, we do have heroes like Tidehunter, for example, which are very good in niche situations. Rusty, how you doing? Yes, it is very early morning. Hey, Riley. So, yeah, I am in the closed beta. I have been for a while, and I haven't said it directly, and yes, I've been keeping it secret, but that's just because I didn't want to get flooded with questions. But now you can ask me all the questions you want. So, Tidehunter, very good in niche situations, and the main thing is his high health. With that amount of health and that armor, I don't think I've seen Tidehunter ever die besides being condemned. He's very, very difficult to kill. And the main thing that you want to watch out for is his Ravage. It almost feels like his Ravage is his main ability. He's not his signature card, his Ravage. In front of him, his neighbors are 100% stunned. So to the left of him, to the front, and to the right, always stunned. Those three are always stunned. But everything else on the board has a 50% chance of being stunned. So you'll find a lot of cases that he just stuns everything in a lane. And if it's stunned, it can't attack. It can't cast spells. It can't use its ability. You've just removed all that power from that lane with this one ability. So this is a very good niche card. And Kraken Shell is just strictly better than Keith's Fighting Instinct, just because it gives that armor, which is the most important thing. But it also gives you initiative, and it only costs 1 mana. For those who haven't seen what it looks like, let's have a look. Sneakers, when do I do? It's not a raffle, it's from Gleam. So Gleam will pick the winners, and then I'll email them the codes. So I'll have their emails, I'll have their names, and Gleam will pick them for me. So Kraken Shell. Oh, there it is, 1 mana. So this is a way of sneakily getting to go first in the following lane. So if they've played their spells or they're passed thinking that they're going to go first in the next lane so you can't annihilate that lane, for example. Annihilation being... Where is that blue card? Here it is. Annihilation is just destroy it completely. Like you're winning it, really winning a lane. They've put a blue hero in it and they just want to wipe it out. Being able to get initiative from them is really good, especially when they've passed first. So that's why Kraken Shell is good. That's why Axe is good. And that's why our Man Legion Commander is good. Where was the Gleam thingy? I can't remember if I did it. Check my Twitter. I just posted on my Twitter account. Hey, Rhaegar, how are you doing? How's everyone doing? So, continue to ask me questions and I'll try to get around to them. But the next thing was what my favorite blue hero was. All right. So there's a few blue heroes here. Like in the closed beta, everyone is going off about Kana. Kana's apparently the most overpowered hero. And the reason for that is because she not only gets prey on the weak, but her ability is that you know where your random melee creeps are going. They're always going to her lane. But I find that kind of a double-edged sword in a way because the enemy always knows where those creeps are going. So they can place their heroes in the other lanes knowing that they won't ever be chump blocked. So yes, you can pile into one lane with Kana. And yes, she has prey on the weak, which can be absolutely nuts. There is a particular combo I'll talk about just now. So every damage unit in that lane, including your enemies, you can summon a Hound of War for. So you can get 8, 9, 10 of these if you get lucky, which is crazy because that's a stupid combo. That is just, you can just clear them out in one turn. So let me find. All right. Can't talk about that. What can I talk about? Strafing one works. For example, the combo with Kana damages all the creeps, doesn't quite kill them. And then you have Tau Barrage, also works with her. And then, where is it? Where's the dreaded Conflagration? There it is. This also works with it as well. So just damaging creeps and not killing them and popping that Kana ability is really good. Try to paste a link, but it contained a bad word in it. I hate it when that happens. Hold on, let me see if I can approve it. How can I enter your giveaway? All right, do you want me to post the giveaway here? Hold on, let me do it for you. I'll do it for you guys, hold on. Artifact 2 episode 1. There it is. I posted the link. There it is. I put it in there and we are good to go. All right. Okay. So I'll be closing up the competition very soon. But let's continue with the closed beta impressions for now. All right. So Kana is a very good card, but she's not my favorite. Now, let's go blue. All right. I would say my favorite is Luna. I know another hero that has been revealed already, but Luna has the potential to just cause an annihilation effect. Let's just say, where is annihilation? There it is. She can basically do that 3 times with her Eclipse. Lucent Beam on its own is not very good, but having her stay alive, having her stay in lane means that you have a 6 mana annihilation that doesn't affect your board. And if there's a very strong hero in lane, let's say Tidehunter, and they've bumped him up with items. He's got 25 health. He's got 10 armor. You just can't stop him. A Eclipse will go through that because it's piercing, because it's a piercing damage spell, and there's nothing he can do about that. Just has to let it go. So really good hero. She has decent stats for a blue hero too. You can kind of see here the most is on Kana, and then the second is Luna. So she's a very good blue hero. Now, let's have a look at green. What do we got green going on here? Move on. All right. Tree and Protector was just revealed today, wasn't he? So this hasn't updated, but I can talk about Tree. So Tree has a signature card that lets him ramp mana as well as put a body down. Very, very good card, but where's my man? Okay, can't talk about that. But what's been revealed so far, my favorite is Drow. Now, I can't tell you exactly why it's my favorite. You're just gonna have to trust me. But she's especially good in a limited format, in the drafting kind of format. Because she has a very strong ability and she has a fairly strong situational signature card, which is cheap. So I can't talk about exactly what's going on there, but look forward to her. A few people in the closed beta were talking about how broken it is if you get a few of her in limited. So she's very good. But out of the ones we can talk about here, Magnus is good. He's got the ability Empower. Very, very strong. Very big body. 9 health, 1 armor, 4 attack. Very good for a green hero. Tree and Protection is good if you've got that ramp strategy in mind and you need that extra mana. And there's a lot of those. That is a viable strategy in the beta right now, is to get mana very fast and play big things. So Tree's very good in that situation. Chen, I haven't seen that much. Holy Persuasion can be game-breaking or can be useless, depending on what you're playing against. Yeah, you can steal a normal creep, but that's every 4 rounds. So just keep that in mind. You got your Enchantress. I find her and Omni-Knight fill a similar role. She starts off with regeneration, and Omni-Knight can give regeneration to green heroes. But she can also defend the board as well. Give them more survivability. She has less health, so she will die to a Phantom Assassin. She will die to a Bounty Hunter. But Omni-Knight has a heal as well. So these two are a really hard one. No banned words allowed. What was the banned word? What do you keep saying? Okay, I'll send you the Twitter. Hold on. Twitter.com/DanvilleOfficial. There we go. I wonder what's banned. How many rounds are your typical games? That's a good question. It's generally, I don't see it ever really going over 10 mana. It will get to 10 mana and that will be ultra late game. If it goes further than that, then you're just pushing out that ultra late game. You're probably very control versus very control. In in a normal game, you probably get to around 8, 9 mana. So you probably do about 6 rounds, average. Even shorter than that if it's a very fast-paced deck versus a very fast-paced deck. There isn't aggro, so to speak. Aggro always has options to progress to the late game because you can kind of ramp your heroes up. But yeah, it does tend to end earlier with certain decks. Now let's just talk about black before we talk about these next. Moobot is very strict. Yeah, let's turn Moobot off actually. I don't need Moobot right now. Moobot, where are you? Where is it? Let's go to general settings. Features. Can't find it. Got it. Filtering. Guys, if you can, get some questions ready for me so I can answer them for you on stream right now while I'm looking for this stupid Moobot settings. Dashboard. Ugh. Now I can watch, boys. Hey, free. All right, then we got black. Let's talk about black heroes. My favorite is, I guess there's 2 favorites here. My first favorite is Bounty Hunter. And I can't talk about the signature card, but the signature card is very good and it does something that combos well with other cards and your deck strategy in mind. And he also has 11 attack if you get lucky with Janata, which is the highest, I believe. Yep, the highest, I believe, in the game that's been revealed, or at least I think so. I'm pretty sure. It's crazy high. At any rate. But the 7 attack obviously holds him back a little bit, but crazy high attack, great signature, always good in a black deck. Then you have Sniper is my other favorite. Now, it's obvious why Sniper is one of my other favorites. I never put him in the first 3 just because he does only have 5 attack and 6 health, and it takes a little bit of time for the headshot to cool down. Can't tell you exactly how long. But he has 5 damage to a unit, and he has a global range 10 piercing damage assassinate ability, which is just nuts. You get to 7 mana and you pretty much just snipe off any hero you want in any lane. So amazing. Storm. Sir Scrits. That's all right. I'm just answering a question, my man. And then Storm Spirit is just my, like, I think he's like my favorite hero, but not my favorite card, if that makes sense. I just love using him because of his dialogue and because of how he interacts on the board. So let's get to some other questions quickly here. Okay, how much do you see the triangle of aggro, mid-range, and control being? How would you tweak that formula to better apply to Artifact? So, I guess the way aggro functions in Artifact right now is really different to how it functions in, I guess I'll compare it to Hearthstone. In Hearthstone, aggro is put in very cheap, very easy to use cards that do something to the opponent's face. Then you just spam, just go face, and that is the strategy. Just hit their towers, or hit their face in Hearthstone's case. And that doesn't really work in Artifact. You've got things like Sula Khan and her assault ladders to help you hit towers. You've got things like Red Mist Pillager, which is multiplies. You've got things like Hounds of War, which can push pretty hard. You've got things like Dirty Deeds, which I don't really use that much, honestly. And you've got other methods of making it seem like you can build an aggro deck. Double edge, for example, looks like you can hit the tower pretty hard. You've got the Oath, which is probably the most aggro card you can get, along with Assault Ladders, along with bitter enemies. You might think that's aggro, that is control. But there seemingly, it seems like there's a lot of methods to make an aggro deck, but if you just throw everything in like that, you'll find that you have the most difficult deck to navigate out of any deck that you can create, just because there's a lot of factors that go into making aggro strong. And in this case, you need to get through a 40 health tower, then you need to get through an 80 health tower. So you immediately are at 120 damage that you need to get through, and they only need to get through 80. So pushing just one lane most of the time is really difficult. And then if you decide to split up your power, then you're going against someone who can essentially just wipe your board in some cases, and then how do you recover from that? Then you have, the potential annihilations coming out. If for example, you're versing blue, where is it? Annihilation. Or you have green who can just throw chump blockers in front of you if you're not going just wider than them in one lane. Then you have red heroes, which are very strong, can take a lot of hits. Then you have black, who can also kind of throw out these cross lane abilities, so they can just focus down that lane. That's doing pretty well. So there's a lot of options with dealing with aggro, and there's a lot of options because you don't start at 1 mana, you start at 3 mana. So there's always something that even a control deck can do. So it's very difficult to navigate. That being said, it doesn't mean it's less potent, it just means it's very skill-based. You need to know and predict 2 turns earlier where you should put the Oath, for example. The Oath being a double-edged sword. The Oath being a double-edged sword because you can't cast spells in that lane, so you want to know that that's the lane you're committing to. So you need to know that 2 turns earlier, that this is going to be where my hero survives, this is going to be where I'm getting the most advantage. You throw that in there, and then if it's the wrong lane, you've just wasted that card. And they've controlled that lane now, and then you've just lost. So hopefully that gives you an idea of why aggro is not the easiest deck like it is in Hearthstone. Hearthstone aggro is just go face, easy, done. In other news, I saw Amaz revealed a card. Yeah. How detailed and diverse are the voice line interactions in Artifact? Very detailed, and I'm still being surprised now. For example, I threw down Tree and Protector's signature card right when I had where is it? Right when I had let's just do blue. Right when I had an Aghanim Sanctum up, and for those who have seen the reveal on Twitter for Treant, his signature card gives you mana ramp, and this does as well. So he comes out and says, "Well, that's redundant," and I thought that was pretty clever. So there's different combinations of cards that have different voice lines, and I'm still being surprised now. So I've actually made a video on quite a few voice lines that I think are pretty cool, and I'll release that as soon as the NDA is lifted. But you may not be able to answer this, but do you think the limited format in Artifact will appeal to someone who doesn't like the lack of interactivity in Hearthstone's arena mode and much prefers something like MTG's draft mode? When you say lack of interactivity, what do you mean specifically, Kenny? Kenny Autism? Let me address another question before. What type of deck surprised you how powerful it was? There was a mid-range deck, which I can't really talk too much about, but it was a red-black deck that was kind of built in a way that it does have a late game, it does have an early game, but it's more around that mid game, and that worked surprisingly well against almost every deck. I mean, there's other decks that can beat it. There's other decks that can do worse against it, but that was most surprising. Red and black, I did not expect, before I got onto the closed, that those two would work well together. But red and black works really well together. And I mean, so does red and blue. I mean, so does red and green. So does black and green. So there's black and blue. So, I mean, there's the most surprising thing is how many options you do have within this game. Yes, there are cards that are just on paper better than others, but there are a lot of combinations for such few amount of cards compared to something like Hearthstone. All right, what did you say here? Kenny? Just that what cards you pick is completely isolated from what other people are picking. In my opinion, this leads to a wider range of power in the decks. So in Magic the Gathering Arena, you still pick in limited format isolated from everyone else. So they found it very difficult in digital formats to make everyone pick at once. So no, to answer your question, no, you don't. You don't sit there with a group of other people who are online at the same time and pick together. That doesn't happen. And I don't think it's going to be possible for digital to do that because you'll be in the middle of a run and you'll have to go offline and might come back 2 days later to continue it. And those people might have finished theirs. So what are you supposed to do then? So no, to answer your question, I can't answer that. So it will be your own compartmentalized kind of thing. I'm proud of you. Thank you. Just found your channel after seeing you beat Suns fan at PAX. Thank you. Thank you for that. In Magic Online, it's completely interactive with 8 people picking together. In Arena, it's still in development. Exactly. So it's not quite there yet. All right. So we have anything else? Hey, red-black deck was the type of colors I wanted to make a deck around, says Free. Yeah, entirely possible. Let me show you what kind of deck you can make with red and black. So you can throw in an Axe, Legion, and then throw in a Bounty Hunter, Sniper, and Phantom Assassin, and that's a top tier deck. I've actually got the whole deck list I can give. The best thing about best thing about Artifact right now is that if I was to give you the deck code, just the code, it's like a random assortment of numbers and characters. You could take that, paste it into the deck builder, and you'll have the deck, if you have the cards, that is. So I can give out deck codes very easily, and I've got 4 videos coming out as soon as the NDA lifts with the top 4 decks of the closed beta, and I run through exactly what cards are in there, and I run through a few games with them. And I've got one of them, which is a red-black deck, and I have the deck list, so look forward to seeing that, but that's one of the combinations there. And it works really well together. And that's about generating gold. That's about making your heroes really strong. And that's about picking off their heroes. So it's like a mid-range kind of deck. All right. What's the best color for mono? John, that's an easy one to answer. Green is very, very good mono, just because they have a lot of options and a lot of synergy together. And then you can do red mono, but red mono is slightly harder to make work just because it's very consistent, because a lot of cards you'll see have modify a red hero, do something to a red hero, do something to a red hero. So a lot of red cards work really well with other red cards, but it fits more into the aggro side than it does into the mid-range side. So you do need that little bit extra skill to make mono red work. But mono green definitely can work. What doesn't work very well is, I believe, mono black, just because they can use some other cards from other colors to really supplement them. But mono blue, if you run Ogre, you can do some shenanigans with mono blue, but just expect to lose a lot of games because you'll get unlucky with placement, and your Ogre will be against a Phantom Assassin or a Bounty Hunter or something that's just going to kill them straight out, like an Axe or a Bristleback. So you just got to be really careful with blue. In most cases, if it's not a Luna, if it's not a Kana, you want to put your blue hero fourth, so you can deploy them in the lane that you need or the lane that you're winning. Something like a Venomancer, for example, you might be tempted to put them in your opening lineup just because you get a Plague Ward each lane deployment phase. But if I leave a Venomancer up round 1, I'm going to be crying because it almost never happens. You just can't, like with 6 health, you just can't survive much. So another one is Prolax. You want her to be out first, but you also don't because she only has 5 health. So you want to put her 4th. You want to put Venomancer 4th. You would want to put Skarath, last. You'd want to put Crystal Maiden 4th. These are heroes you don't really want outs from the start. And then if you're only blue, that's the only options you have. So you'd have to put out Kana first. You'd have to put out Jamoy first. You'd have to put out Ogre first for the multicast. And then it's pretty low health heroes. I'm really excited about blue-green mana ramp late game finisher. Well, it just so happens that I have made a deck like that, and that is uploaded and ready to go. So as soon as the NDA lifts, keep an eye out, Grey Donny, because I have the deck code and everything there. All right. Pretty cool feature. The only thing stopping you from being a pro is your skill. Yes, exactly. How's your win rate so far? It's really difficult to gauge win rate in a closed beta because it's just so hard to get games with real people. You have to jump into an area where we all talk and you have to request a game just because if I sit in the queue, I'm going to sit there for hours just because there's only a couple hundred people. But I haven't competed in any of the tournaments, in-game tournaments, because they're usually at like 3 AM for me. And the last time it happened, I was actually at PAX and I didn't have closed beta yet. And the time before that was actually my anniversary, so I couldn't. So it was like girlfriend was on my back. Couldn't really compete. Just to say. So I haven't done anything official, but I'm doing the next one. But win rate in regards to just challenging people is actually surprisingly high. I didn't think I'd be doing so well. So I've won probably about 85% of my games that I've played versus other people. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I thought Ogre would have higher stats. Yeah, so would I. I would have thought Ogre would have a high health pool, but because his multicast can be really beneficial, I guess they want to give you a chance of killing him. When does the NDA lift? This month. Just saying. It's this month. I can't tell you the exact date because I'm not too sure, but it's this month. When Wife Coach hyped Life Coach say they played 1,000 hours, does that mean they're mostly playing the AI? Yes, it does. Look, look, the limited format, they can probably find more games in, and it would probably be approaching, hundreds of hours. But when they say 1,000 hours plus, I don't believe that it could be anything but supplemented with bots or watching games, because we can watch other people's games, which is pretty cool. Right now, it's hard to say if I'm limited or constructed player. I really need to play more consistently to know for sure what I prefer. But right now, I like both. Constructed is fun because all the cards are new. What's to say in like a year when the cards are kind of reached their, I guess, I've tried all the strategies I could think of and I'm kind of bored with it. Then constructed would be a lot better. Not constructed, limited would be a lot better. But right now, I'm having fun with both modes. Both modes have their draw, How good or bad is the AI? The AI is really good. The AI is really good. It's like, you would expect the AI to be like Hearthstone level AI, where it's just, you can just kind of outgame it. But surprisingly, with all the nuance in the game, if you were to pick the ultimate difficulty, which I can't talk too much about, which they get unfair advantages in, like they cheat, you'll struggle. You'll struggle winning. It's very rare to win against the highest ranked bots and not think that you really put up a good fight, because they do cheat, which is funny. But even if you do the bots that don't cheat, they are very well made. They're like Dota 2 bots. If you ever played Dota 2, you'll see that you'll find bots very difficult until you get to a certain skill level, and then the bots will just seem like a cakewalk. It's kind of like that. All right. Do you have to keep getting packs after buying the game, like for limited? If you get like 5 to 10 packs, do you still need to buy more? I'm not sure how they're going to do limited just now with packs, so I can't really answer that for you. Everything could change. I'm not sure if we're going to be buying into it. I'm not sure if it's going to be free. I'm not sure if you're going to get the cards that you draft in limited. I'm not sure about any of that, so I can't really answer it. 1,000 hours is how many hours the client is open. Exactly. No name. So I don't believe that is 1,000 hours of them playing other people, which is what my point is. Is bitter enemies good? Mocha Bear, that is a good question. Let's go to bitter enemies. And I want to answer this for you in a pretty detailed fashion here. All right. Page not found. What is this? All right, bitter enemies. What this does is it puts an improvement on a lane and it starts counting down. So it'll start at 3, go to 2 after the before the action phase, and then before the action phase down to 1, and then the following action phase will be down to 0. And then from that point on, every single round it will be doing 6 damage to both towers. How does this work? Well, you put this in a deck where you want to kind of control the lanes. This is not a aggressive card in any stretch, because you need to wait so long for it to start doing anything. And if you're aggressive, you're most likely going to have an advantage at that tower. So you're most likely going to have that tower down to a lower health. And this is better when they're doing a bit of damage to your tower already, and then you can essentially say that this lane is just done. We're both going to get a tower in this lane. I'm going to just control you in the other lanes. That's where this is good. Throw this into a lane, control the other lanes, just abandon the lane that this has the effect in, because you're eventually going to get that tower. You just need to stop them from that point from getting another one in the other lanes. And while you do that, while you control the board, you're probably going to get, you know, your second tower in one of those 2 lanes that you control. So this is more of a control-y card, and honestly, it's very risky putting it in your deck. Very, very risky, because yeah, it can work against you depending on what you're playing against. So I wouldn't recommend putting this card in unless you've got a specific strategy around it. All right. What's your thoughts on Glyph of Confusion? Glyph of Confusion is an interesting one. Basically what it does is, wait, do you actually have, can we talk about it yet? I'm going to make sure I don't break NDA here. Aggro's not up. There it is. All right, whenever a unit enters this lane, sign up for this round. Okay, so I've seen this in a deck that's very competitive. I've seen this being used well. This is a skill-based card more than you think. This is not a plug and forget kind of card. This is a wait until the ideal moment kind of card. This is a, I'm going to win this lane next turn, but I know you've got 4 heroes coming up next round. I'm going to throw this in that lane and I'm going to win. You can't do anything about it. Like, if you throw 4 heroes into a lane that you're trying to defend, all 4 of them are stunned. Therefore, all 4 of them can't do anything in that lane. They can't attack. They can't cast spells for you. So this is a, I want to secure a win, or I want to make sure you don't secure a win kind of card. It can be very powerful, but if you put this in as soon as you get 6 mana in just a lane that you think you want to control, this can work against you in a lot of cases, because if they kill off one of your heroes and you put yours back in, it's going to be stunned, obviously. If you summon some units in there, they're going to be stunned. If your creeps spawn in there randomly, they're going to be stunned. So you got to be really careful with this card. When do I plan on doing the giveaway? Very, very soon, Griffin. Very soon, just because I don't want to be here too long. This is going to be a short stream. Wonder what happens if you broke NDA. Oh, they'll discipline me. That's about it. I feel like Omni has more than 80s dungeon quarter art feel. Yeah. Yeah, this is a last minute kind of, this is a last minute card. Yeah, you want to play this when you need it. All right, what else we got? I think the BTS boys recently played in a tournament with less than 100 players. I was invited to that tournament, yes. But like I said, it was my anniversary, so I couldn't I couldn't be up at 3 a.m. all the way through because you have to be there the whole time. It's like an 8-hour thing. So it's like 3 a.m. till wherever it was, 9 a.m. or whatever they finished, whatever time they finished playing. And it was a day I just couldn't jump in. The way I'm seeing the under kind of 100 people tournaments is it becomes quite, because, all right, everyone in the closed beta right now is a very skilled player. This is, playing people in the closed beta is like playing the best of the best, right? So the meta is built around that, knowing that everyone is very skilled. So when you play a tournament setting or when you play versus other people, you can't be risky because you'll be punished in a lot of cases. So when you're watching when I was watching some of the tournament plays, it was just a matter of, I guess, who brought the better deck or who got kind of luckier in a way, because everyone is so skilled. So it's hard to it's really hard to say how I would perform in that situation. I think I'd do pretty badly because I'm very unlucky. I'm the never lucky guy, just saying. So I don't think I'd perform pretty well, but individually I perform pretty good. All right, thank you, Free. Have you tried Meepo? How's Silence TP Scroll working on him? I can probably explain to you how Meepo is. Where is he? All right, so Meepo, a lot of us tried to make work in the closed beta. A lot of us have tried to make him work. He's very, very difficult to make work because you think, okay, I'm going to throw them all into one lane and do a time of triumph and then they'll all be unstoppable. Yeah, if you do that, you'll win the game. But it's getting to that point. Because one thing that people don't realize is if you kill Meepo and you have Divided We Stand up and ready to go, you have 3 out, you give them 15 gold in one shot because 3 of them die in one shot. Or if you have, if you have 4 of them out, you give them 20 gold. Whenever I see a Meepo out in the field, I'm just like, I'm just doing this. I'm like, delicious. I'm going to get so much gold this game. And it happens because he's only got 5 health and it's very hard to boost them all up. They each have their own individual item slots. That's something you need to note. So if I give him a cloak, which puts him up a bit of health, then the other one is still vulnerable. So I'd just target the other one, and most of the time, if I'm playing a red deck, for example, suddenly Legion Commander just becomes juicy. It's like, okay, just as soon as I see the Meepo, I'm just throwing a jewel onto her and onto the Meepo, and that's just, 5, 10, 15, or 20 gold in one shot. And it is nuts. So that is why Meepo is bad, is because it just lets your opponent just get out of control if they get a few kills on him. Where it's good is that you can save your Divided We Stand until you need it, and until you can stagger when the Meepos come out, and then you can always play a blue spell in every lane. So for example, Meepo just dies, then you play Divided We Stand on a lane with another blue hero. Then you have 2 Meepos that are going to spawn at separate times, if that makes sense. And then you'll always have kind of a blue hero around. But you do need blink daggers to make him work. I know he's got poof, but in a lot of cases, you end up just spawning all the Meepos in one lane just because he ends up being the blue hero that you need to use to cast the spell. So it's quite, you need to build around him, essentially is what I'm saying. You need to build your whole deck around Meepo, and it kind of struggles unless you get lucky, I think. But who knows? When new people come into the game, and it's not just pros playing the game, there will probably be more strategies and more creative thinking. All right, what have we got here? How's Silence or TP Scroll working on him? You can just TP one away. You can't TP them all away with one TP Scroll. Silence will silence the one that's silenced. So if you've got all 4 in a lane, if you silence one of them, you can still use the others for spells. What cards do you reckon are going to be hot property when the selling market when the game hits? This is a bit of insider trading, isn't it? I have no idea. You can't predict the marketplace. You can't predict the marketplace. What are the strongest heroes and what are rares right now? I reckon Axe is one that will be quite expensive just because rare, very, very useful hero. Then we have, let's have a look. Time of Triumph, I think just because people will read this and people will see it played and they'll be like, this is my win condition, and they're going to want to buy this card. I think at the start of the game. And then once they realize that they don't need that many in their deck, then it'll start going down in value. Okay, nothing else in red. Let's have a look at blue. Kana, 100%. I think people are going to want Kana. I think Kana will be very expensive. I think Meepo will be expensive until people realize he isn't that useful in every deck. I think Earthshaker will be expensive. I think Bolts will only be for a very brief time until people realize that they don't need that many in their deck, just like Time of Triumph. And that is probably it. Yeah. Maybe even Arcane Sanctum for a non-rare card could be expensive. Then we have green. It depends on how many packs people buy, doesn't it, at the end of the day. I don't think any of these would be that expensive, honestly. Maybe Drow. Maybe Drow. For green. A Mystery of the Quorum will be quite expensive. Actually, most definitely will be expensive. Comparatively to the rest of the cards. Alright. Which one would be? I think. Black. Yeah. I think black will be fairly okay in terms of price range. Yep. I think that's about it. Hey, Pterodon. Annihilation will be expensive, probably, but I think people overestimate Annihilation. The maximum I put in a deck is 2. You don't want 3. 3 is if you've gone very, very control, but they clog your hand up. In a lot of cases, you don't want to, even if you're losing just slightly in a lane, you don't want to cast Annihilation just because you do give them a lot of gold as well. And you've got the opportunity of coming back or still using spells within that lane. And there's one thing as well that people don't consider is that you want to lock their heroes in a lane sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to kill them. Sometimes you're winning the other 2 lanes and they've got 3 in one lane. You're like, yeah, you can just stay there. I don't want you to die. There's a lot of cases where I could save my heroes in that lane, but I just let them die. I'm like, I want them out of that lane, you know? Or you could just, you know, annihilate your lane that you're doing well in just to get them out of there. So in a lot of cases, Annihilation isn't useful. All right. Annihilation would be expensive, yeah. I wonder how much the average card will cost. I'm guessing a few cents. Yeah, I don't think they'll be that expensive. Considering it's $2 to buy a pack, if a card ever goes over that mark, people would say, is it better just to buy a pack? And I think people will just buy the pack because you get the gambling kind of addiction going on and people would just rather risk it and get other cards. So unless you're looking for something very specific, I don't think they're going to get too expensive. I reckon Axe will be about $2. I reckon some of the really strong red cards will be maybe about $2. But I can't tell. I'm not a finance guru, so I can't tell what's going to happen. And it's all dependent on just how rare the cards are, right? Because you're guaranteed one rare in the pack every time. So, you know, the market might be flooded with these really good rare cards. We don't know. You only need, you know, for a hero's sake, you only need 1. So, yeah, 3 for situational cards doesn't feel great yet. It really doesn't. Which hero is your prediction for a sleeper hit that other closed beta players are underestimating? That's a good question, actually. There's like a lot of debate on what card's good. I just had a debate this morning about which one's better out of Omni Knight and Enchantress. And one of the closed beta players was really for Omni Knight. And that's one of those heroes that isn't used too much right now. But his argument was, look, he has 4 more health than Enchantress. He has 1 more damage. He can always, you know, get that heal off after that cooldown's up. and he can provide that kind of regeneration effect with his signature card. So why isn't he better? And, you know, there is a big argument for that. You know, why isn't he better? I mean, Enchantress does have Verdant Refuge, which is very useful, but Omni Knight can, you know, ramp that regeneration up as well. So there's a few cards where I feel like I was saying before, the closed beta is just full of really good players, and really good players tend to be very closed-minded, to say the least. They just want to optimize and optimize and optimize, and, you know, they're looking at numbers and they're looking at consistency and they're looking at, you know, taking no risk and not trying new things really. So I think when the game opens up, you'll see a lot of different decks than what we're seeing now. You'll see a lot of different combinations. There will be people that will just, you know, take what the pros do, but I feel like there'll be some crazy decks out there that will influence how the pros have to play. They will have to pick up counters to that, for example. But right now, what is the sleeper hit, I think? Sleeper hit. What can I talk about? I'm just trying to think of what I can actually talk about based on what has been revealed. I actually think Storm Spirit is a sleeper. Storm Spirit has this ability that whenever you play a black spell, or black card, sorry, not black spell, any black card, he gets to attack until the end of the next combat phase, right? So it's not this combat phase, it's his next one. So it actually gets stronger, right? So you can get him to, like, you know, 10 or 12 fairly easily in most games. So he's kind of like a bounty hunter in terms of stats, except one lower HP. But the main thing is his signature card. It does something cheaply that is in the game kind of right now, but it does it better than a lot of cards that can do it now can do it, if that makes sense. I don't want to say what it is, but I think if someone discovers a strategy around Storm Spirit that works well with Storm Spirit and his signature card, I think it will be really strong. I think it'll be a really strong deck. The only thing holding him back is his health, I think. Other than that, he's definitely a sleeper in that. Well, it's really, I really want to say what I want to say, but I can't say it, so I'm just gonna stop there. But I'm thinking if I have to pick one, probably him. There's also some potential with Beastmaster and Primal Roar. I think his Primal Roar is kind of underestimated, and I also think Tidehunter is kind of underestimated as well. Those are a few heroes I think are slightly underestimated, because Ravage is really good. Ravage is really good. All right, hopefully that answered that question there. You were at your girlfriend's house. Well, welcome back. Can you buy cards in the closed beta, and your thoughts on the open beta or buying? We can't. No. I think I can say that. We can't buy cards in the closed beta. No. There's no option to do so just yet, because we have all the cards. So there's no need to. We know that his signature card makes him teleport. Yeah. Can't say anything. I'm so excited to learn how Timbersaw works. What can I say? He's good at the delay game. That's what I'll say. He's good at the delay game. Early delays. Who are the best players in the beta currently? Once again, it's hard to say, because the ones that are at the top are the ones that play the most. It's just that simple. You know, there's like Super JJ, there's like Life Coach, you know, the ones that put in just crazy amount of time and have been in there for so long. They're the ones kind of sitting at the top. This card sucks. When is the open beta? Well, this month. This month, very, very soon. So you'll see once the NDA lifts, people like me will be able to kind of show you all of our content. So, you know, stay tuned because I've got a lot. I've got the best decks being released. I've got all the cards that I'm going to release and all of the lore behind all of the cards as well as me mucking around with various decks. All of that will release. And then kind of a week after that, you guys will be able to jump in and play. That's how it's going to work, I think. Yeah, thanks, Bad Grammar. Yeah, I didn't want to make it too overwhelming. Do you think people will be able to catch up? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because I was in the closed beta much shorter amount of time, and I've beat people who were in there for a year or so. So, or more than that. It is easy to catch up. It's 100% on your skill. This game, more than any other game, is skill-based. You need to make predictions, which you don't really need to do that much in Hearthstone. Your one-turn predictions kind of with Hearthstone. It's like, what does he have in his hand? What can he do if I play this card? And how can I play in response to that card that he placed down? That's the kind of predictions you have in Hearthstone. In Artifact, the predictions you have are multifaceted. It's, if I do this, what will happen in 2, 3, 4 turns later, because his heroes are coming down in 2 rounds. What if I do this? How much gold will I give him, and what is he going to get with that gold? He's got 12 gold right now. What did he just spend that on? Is it going to be a health item? Is it going to be an attack item? You know, is he going to be able to save that hero right now? The best thing about the game though is you do have access to what they have in their deck. If you press F3, you can see their full deck list. If you press F2, you can see your full deck list. So at all times, you know what they have in their deck, so you can make those predictions. You can be like, all right, well, he has 1 annihilation. Where is he going to use that? Shit, he just threw a single blue hero into the lane I'm winning. Is he going to annihilate that lane? Therefore, a round before, you might be just passing, even though you can do things just to get initiative there. So you need to make more strategic decisions in this game, more than Gwent, more than Artifact, or more than Magic the Gathering, more than Hearthstone, more than Elder Scrolls Legends. There's just a lot more strategy in this. There's a lot more. I guess that's why it seems so fresh, even after playing it for so many hours. You can play the same deck over and over and over again and still feel like it's a different game. And it's because there's 3 lanes. It's because there's heroes. It's because they have their signature cards. It's because there's so many cards in the game. Because there's items that come up randomly and differently. There's so many situations which just change all the time. Your hero deployment at the start of the game is so important, but it can be completely random. You can have 2 creeps in your lane and a hero against just a single lone hero. Or you can have 1 creep and 1 hero against 1 hero. Or you can have 1 hero and no creeps, you know, against just 1 hero, and they're just facing off, and then all your creeps are in all. It's just what can happen can change so drastically. So anyway, do you think they've failed to deliver on the flavor of any hero? Yeah. I think there's a few heroes, I'll say it. I think there's a few heroes that need some love. Like, you've known for a while, when I made a video about Keith, I kind of pretended like I wasn't in the beta, but he needs some love, I think. Keith needs some love. Right now, he has 1 less attack and 1 less armor than Axe. And his signature ability, his signature card, Fighting Instinct, costs 5 mana, which is a lot, and only modifies with 1 attack and 1 armor. Whereas something like Tidehunter, his Kraken Shell costs 1 mana and modifies 1 armor and gives initiative. So I would argue that that's the better card, even when you're not comparing mana costs, and it's 4 mana cheaper. So it's very strange that he's altogether as a package is just not as good as Axe. Axe is a rare hero, that's fair enough, and you do get Key from the start, but they did mention that it doesn't matter about the rarity of the cards. They'll all be useful, all have their own kind of thing. So Keith is one such hero that I think needs a bit of love. Let's see if there's any others that I can talk about. I think you guys haven't seen OD yet and what he can do, or have you? Have you guys seen his signature yet? I'm not sure if they've updated this. Yeah, they don't need to make Keith good. They just need to update his costs, I think. I think if Fighting Instinct was 1 mana or 2 mana, he would be much better. Leagues better. Or they could just, you know, make him suit just how cool his signature card looks. I won't get into it now, don't worry. But it looks cool. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. I think OD needs a little bit of love as well. Low health, not that much attack. And the Essence Aura requires a lot of blue cards. And look, chance-based stuff is not that great. And the signature card I don't really want to talk about too much, but doesn't really help his cause. And then we have, you know what? I think most of the green heroes are pretty good. And then black. Yeah. This one here. This one here. So Bloodseeker does need a little bit of love, I think. I think if they gave him, 8 health or 9 or 10, he would be perfect. He would be great. He'd be on the money. But with 6, he's just, they put so much emphasis on his bloodbath ability. I think they overestimate how good it is. And so I feel like he's a little bit weak. All right. 2 questions. First is, where do you come from games-wise, and why do you think the NDA will be lifted before the beta? All right. First, games-wise, wow, that's a hard one. Well, back in the day, I used to play Red Alert 2. It was a strategy game, real time. I was highly ranked in that game. I was on the ladder. I was second on the ladder for a year, for quite some time. So you could say professional Red Alert 2 player. From that point on, I was playing, in terms of card games, Magic the Gathering, physical copies of Magic the Gathering. I did play Duels a little bit when it came out, and I do have Arena. I was in the closed beta for Arena. And so I have the Magic the Gathering experience, and I'm also a Legend player on Hearthstone. Not anymore because I stopped playing it. But so yeah, in terms of card games, I have a little bit of experience there. I've dabbled in Gwent and in Elder Scrolls Legends, but they just didn't mesh with me. I just didn't enjoy them as much. I didn't enjoy mucking around with Legends just because it reminded me of Skyrim so much. But other than that, that's kind of my card game experience. That's where I come from. It's with the NDA will be lifted before the beta. I can't be completely sure about that. Don't quote me on that. Anything can change. But I have my suspicions, that's why. So, no reveal on OD yet, yeah, which is why I can't talk about it. Can you explain how armor works in this game? Hong Bosso. Yeah, very simple. There's a few things that people might not realize with armor as well, which is why I'll go through it now. So, let's look at a hero like Axe. He starts with 2 armor. What that means is, if anything hits him for 2 damage, he'll block 2 of that. He'll block all of that, and nothing will go through to his health. If he was hit for 3, he would block 2 of that, and 1 would go through to his health. If he was to be attacked by 3 things at the same time, and all of them did 2, he would block every single instance of that for 2. So armor works for multiple damage sources. If he was to face a Legion Commander, which has 2 retaliate, he would only take 4 damage. So the reason for that is because the 2 armor blocks the 2 retaliate, because it functions as a separate instance of damage, and then he blocks 2 from the 6, so he only ends up taking 4. So armor is pretty powerful in that it blocks every single instance of damage. Now, I want to make it clear that unless it says piercing, it blocks it. So notice how Mystic Flare doesn't say deal 12 piercing damage. That means armor will block it. Notice how Thunder God's Wrath says piercing. That means it won't be blocked by it. Notice how one particular spell I really want to point out is Lich's spell here. Where is it? I think they have it listed, so let's go in. So Chain Frost. This is one spell that's incredibly good, but is blocked by armor. So if they have 3 armor, this does nothing when it bounces on them, nothing. So there's cards like this that you really have to think about armor with. So that's what armor does. Hopefully that helps. Does every active ability start off cooldown? Let me explain how that works. So your heroes, they are considered, all 5 of them, they are considered sitting in the fountain at the start of the game. And then the first 3 are deployed, and then the next one is deployed the following round, and then the 5th one is deployed on the following round after that. At the start of the game, the abilities start on their cooldown. So let's say it's a 4-round cooldown. It'll start on 4 from the start of the game. So let's look at Jamoy here. That's a 4-round cooldown. Even if he's deployed first, this will be on 4. If he's deployed 5th, this will be at the point it is from the start of the game. So it will be like he was deployed from the start. He'll be sitting in the fountain, but it will still be cooling down, if that makes sense. So in the case of something that takes 2 turns to cool down, on your second round, it will be cooled down if you just deploy them then. It will be ready to go. So for heroes that have long kind of powerful abilities, like, not Wisdom of the Elders, that's not very good. Concussive Shot is a decent one here. If you were to deploy Skywrath Mage 5th, his Concussive Shot would be ready to go because it just cools down while he's sitting in the fountain, if that makes sense. Ravage is a very good ability. If you deploy him last, you'll only have a few turns to wait. So hopefully that makes sense, but there is a caveat there. Heroes work like that. Creeps and improvements don't. So if you look at... I'm trying to find something that has a bit of a cooldown. Let's go to an item. All right. The vestments here. This has a 2-round cooldown. So if you apply this, it's not going to wait 2 rounds. You can immediately use the heal, and then you have to wait those 2 rounds. So if it's an item, if it's a improvement like this, like Steam Cannon, if it's a creep that has a particular active ability, they'll immediately be able to use them. The heroes are the ones that need to wait, if that makes sense. All right. Caveat. Yeah. Hero abilities on cooldown start of the game. Yeah, you've explained it there. Gwent's devs didn't really have a clue on what direction they wanted to take. Yeah, Mocha Bear. That's kind of what I felt. I don't want to like badmouth Gwent, but it was hard. It was hard knowing what to do, like in terms of competitively. Okay. Could you tell me if Timbersaw is weak to AoE? No, he's not. Does his armor only proc in the combat phase? No, his armor is always up if you know the arrows that point to what they're attacking. If there is arrows facing Timbersaw, he'll get armor for every one. So if there's 3 arrows, he'll have 3 armor, just not even during the combat phase, just then and there. So he is good if you use a taunt on him. If you use taunt on him, he'll have 3 armor. Okay. All right. Please do the raffle after sleeping. You don't care about EU. I do care about EU, but I can't stream while I'm sleeping. Armor is better than regen. Okay, so let me explain how regen and how armor function if you need to choose between the 2 of them. So let's do it this way. All right. So Enchantress has 2 regen. And let's see someone who has armor with the same health. Hopefully that exists. All right. Let's compare Legion Commander and Enchantress here. Who blocks the most amount of damage if faced by one enemy? Who do you think? Enchantress does. Enchantress blocks one more damage because regeneration works like this. During the combat phase, it will calculate how much damage you take. We'll put it in a bubble. It'll say, let's say you're taking 4 damage. We'll throw 4 damage there, and then it will check to see how much regeneration you have. If it's 2, it'll put it there. And then it'll squeeze them together and make a number. And if you take 4 and take 2 away, that's 2. So you'll only take 2 damage. And that happens instantaneously. It's not like you take 4 damage and then heal. It's not like you heal, then take damage. It happens at the same time. So if she was to take 8 damage and then heal 2, she would die, right? But if she's actually getting attacked by Bristleback, for example, she'll survive it because the regeneration applies at the same time. Then when you look at armor, armor calculates it before they take damage. So if it's 1 armor and it's 8 attack, it'll just block that 1 damage. So it'll just be 7 that he takes, that Legion Commander takes. The difference is that armor can block multiple instances, like I stated before. So if she's being attacked by multiple people, multiple 2 attack minions, for example, she'll only take 3 damage instead of taking 6 because it blocks 1, 1, 1. Whereas regeneration only happens once. So if she's taking 2, 2, 2 from 3 creeps, that's 6. And then she's got 2 regeneration, push them together, she takes 4 damage. Whereas Legion Commander, 6 damage, each instant blocked by 1, only 3. So that's a situation where armor is better. A situation where healing is better, regeneration is better, is if she's only taking, let's just say she has 5 regeneration and she's being hit by 2 attack, and she's missing health. It will heal her instead of just her taking damage. So if she's on 1 HP and she's getting hit for 2, but she's healing for 5, she'll go up to 4 HP at the end of that. Whereas with armor, you don't heal. So regeneration heals you up to your max health, and armor blocks multiple instances. So they're both good in their own ways. If you look at Omni Knight, let's have a look here. It's not lifesteal, no. So he can modify allies with 2 regeneration. That means that even creeps can heal. And if you put this on 3 times with 6 regeneration, that means that even if you were to hit a creep who has 4 health for 6 damage, they won't die. Regeneration does kind of function like armor that way, but like I said, multiple instances don't stack cumulatively. So hopefully that helps. You don't enter with raffle. The only way you're going to win this competition is with, the entry in Gleam. I'm going to lock it very soon, actually, because I will kind of take a few more questions and I think I'll end the stream. They're thirsty. Is armor or regeneration applied first if they're on the same unit? Armor blocks all the incoming damage first, and then attack and regeneration applies. Remember, armor applies first. So it's like, if let's just say it was, where's that green hero? Let's just say, okay, here we go, Magnus. You put regeneration on Magnus, and he takes 4 damage, and he has 2 regeneration. First thing would happen is the armor would block 4 of that, so 1 of that 4, so it would go down to 3. And then regeneration plus onto that would mean that he'd only take 1 damage. So that's how that would work, if that makes sense. So armor just blocks the incoming damage, regeneration applies during the combat itself. So at the same time as the damage is taken, you apply the regeneration. So it's like you're healing while you're hitting, if that makes sense. All right. How do we put this way? Someone can tell you. Does the color requirement to cast spells, i.e. you need a blue hero to cast blue spells in that lane, also apply to creeps and improvements? So you need a blue hero to play any... Yes, it does. So if I have a Magnus out on the board, I can play the Satire Duelist. If I don't have any hero on the board, I cannot play the Duelist. If I have the Duelist out and no hero, I still can't play any other spell ability or improvement, or spell unit or improvement. So you do need those colored heroes to play a spell, an improvement, or a creep of that color in that lane. But if, for example, you are black and you want to play something like gank, you want to gank something in the middle lane, and you don't have a black hero in the middle lane, you have a sniper, for example, in the first, you can cast from the first lane, gank to attack the second lane. So that's how you can apply your damage or your spells to other lanes. But other than those effects that have these arrows here that mean that they can be applied to any lane, you need to play it from a lane that has a hero of that color. When effects occur before the action phase, do they happen simultaneously or do they go on a stack? Lunar and Plague Wars and damage effects. So they all occur at the same time. That's how it works. So in terms of Plague Wards, they get deployed in a deployment phase. So you will, if you do have a Lunar out and the Plague Ward comes out as an enemy Plague Ward, Lucent Beam can hit that Plague Ward because the Plague Wards are out during the deployment phase. If that makes sense to you. All right. How do you feel about Artifact not having neutral creeps? I didn't even think about that, to be honest. How would that even work? Because they need to be on one side of the board. I guess you could have something in the middle that would block them. But spoiler, there's no neutral creeps in the game right now. So, is there a viable Ravenous Mass deck? There is a Ravenous Mass deck. I haven't seen them in competitions though. But the reason Ravenous Mass can be good is because you can kill a hero like Rix and just take all his stats and let him rapidly deploy. Yes, you are giving the enemy 5 gold, but it lets you deploy your hero where you need to and also get those stats. So Ravenous Mass can be pretty good if you don't have that many in your deck. If you just built 3 Ravenous Masses and it's all about the Ravenous Mass, then you're probably going to get countered. You're probably just going to have someone chump blocking it. So it's good to have 1 or 2 maybe just for fun. And there's certain combos that can go off. But I think until there's more death effects, like my man Papa. Where's Papa? Until my man Papa here. Until there's more death effects like this, I think there will be less play from Ravenous Mass. But once there is, it's going to be like Hearthstone, in which is just heaps of death effects and then eating a lot of them. So hopefully that answers that. There's a few cards that you can see being really good once more cards come into the game. But as of right now, they're not as powerful. All right, in terms of ending games, are the most games done by ending 2 towers? Yes. There's very few decks that can focus on going for the Ancient. There's ones that use... where is it? There's ones that use Mystery of the Quorum that can go for the Ancient. There's ones that use the Oath and Assault Ladders combined that can go for the Ancient, just pile into one lane. But most games, I'm talking like 90% of the games end because you've taken 2 towers and not gone for the Ancient. So, and that's definitely true. Like in most of my games, there's 2 towers. Just because going through 80 health is easier than going through 140 by a lot, right? It's by 40 health. So it's like you're taking 3 towers if you go for Ancient because it is quite a bit more health. All right. Is there a combo deck including cards that haven't been revealed? Yes. Yes. And also, can you consistently pay to hold a secret item card? Actually, I'm not too sure about that one. I'm not too sure. I've only ever done it to hold it for one turn. And that was in a deck that used Payday, because I was just going to multiply my cash the following round and I wanted to keep that item. I'm not too sure. I'd have to get back to you on that one. All right, is there any more questions? Get a few more questions and then I'll announce the winners. More questions, give me more questions. Until I get more, I probably should be scrolling up to check all the questions I missed, but re-ask me if I haven't answered you. I want to talk about Ursa just quickly. I played a game recently where I was like, I really want to make Ursa the hero of this deck. So I used him and I used a lot of combat manipulation tools, a lot of ways for him to cleave, for example. And I ended up winning the game because there were 4 heroes on the enemy's team that had -5 armor. And that meant that when I used, when I used this in one lane that had 2 heroes, the creeps just killed the heroes. It was a very funny game. It was very, very funny. I mean, it probably wasn't the most viable deck, but it was funny. You can do funny things like that, which are entertaining. All right. How will they handle new hero cards if Dota isn't releasing new heroes often? There's quite a few heroes that haven't been used yet. Quite a few. You can kind of see here. You can kind of see here that... okay, look at Dota 2's hero pool, and then look at this. There's a lot of heroes I haven't used yet. Once they get through all the heroes that are in Dota 2, they'll release new ones, new heroes that might not be released to Dota 2, just like a few heroes here, like her, like Kana, like Solar Khan. These are heroes that aren't in Dota 2. And once that happens, and there's even more, it's even more in the future, then they'll release different versions of the heroes that they have. So it might be Tide Hunter, Ship Seeker or something, you know, like they do in Magic the Gathering, where it's like they release their different planeswalkers with different flavors. It'll be stuff like that. Is there a way in-game to see the full list of items that can appear in the Secret Shop, Consumable Shop? You can see all of the items that you can put in a deck. In terms of consumables, you can't see all of them. No, not currently. In terms of Secret Shop, you can see all of them because they're just items that you can potentially put in your deck. Do you think card advantage is important? No. No. I've not played many games where having more cards really helped win the game. There's a lot of games where you're just sitting on heaps of cards. You're like, I've got so many options, but then you're locked out because if they just control your heroes, you can't play them. So then it can be a hindrance. But unlike Hearthstone, you don't actually need to. You don't actually burn cards if you have too many in your hand, and you don't die if you run out of cards in your deck. So you can go through all your cards really quickly and just have them all available to you if you need. That doesn't happen very often though. The only time card advantage is important is if they have no cards left. If they're just drawing 2 every round and they don't have that many options available to them, that's when it really matters. But that doesn't happen very often either. It'd have to be a very, very aggressive deck that got very, very lucky with some very cheap cards early on. And in which case, they probably have a huge advantage because their heroes will be stronger, or they'll have more creeps out, or they'll have done a lot of damage to your tower. So it's not really as important. What's your thoughts on the best combination of colors? Dual colors is the best right now. Tricolor is really hard to make work. It can be done, but in most cases, it'll just be, you know, you got a blue hero there, for example, just to spawn you in, I don't know, wards. And you don't really need to use many blue spells. It might be situations like that, but 3 is very hard. Cleave and Ursa works, yes. Yes, it does. Cleave and Ursa works because it's whatever he hits gets minus armor, which is crazy. Is there any viable combo decks? Yes. Let's see if I can show you one such combo. No. Can't show you that one. There's combos with the Emissary. Getting her out very early, for example. That works very well. You saw combos at PAX with Disciple of Nevermore. I don't really see this card coming out that often competitively because there is a huge drawback and it is kind of just like a combo card that sits in your hand, but that can work very well. There's things that work well with getting you to the Bolt. And there's a few others that combos work. What do you think of Temple of War? Okay, let's talk about Temple of War. Hopefully it's up here. Nah, it's not up here yet. Temple of War, what do I think? I think it is not quite strong enough because it's not very common for you to go like a mono red deck. And it's good in a mono red deck. That's what I think. All right. What heroes from Dota 2 do you want to be added? I want Spectre to be in. Spectre is one of my boys. I want Slark to be in. That'd be really cool as well. I want, who else? I want Sand King to be in. That would be sweet. I reckon he'll be a nice blue hero with big epicenter kind of plays. Do you give enemy gold when you deny or kill your own creeps? Yes, you do. That is a big one. So if you use Lich, for example, and you use Sacrifice on one of your heroes, let's say I Sacrifice Bounty Hunter on a draw 2 cards, you do give the enemy 5 gold. So that's what you need to keep in mind. So no matter how your creeps or your heroes die, they will give the enemy gold. So if you use Annihilation, which I talked about at the start of this, it's actually not as good as people thought. They're like, oh, you condemn all units and they don't get any gold. No. You give them, if you have 5 heroes in that lane that you condemned, you give them 20 gold. So 25 gold, sorry. Can I math? So that is, yeah, so things like that you need to be very careful of. And that also means that, thanks for the sub, man. That also means that things like Barracks and things like Blue is very good at going wide, actually. So the Venom and where is my favorite? Dimensional Portal. This is one of my, I think this is probably one of my favorite blue spells that isn't tied to a blue hero, Dimensional Portal, because it just seems like it's always good. I struggle to make a blue deck where I don't put this in. There's a lot of times where I'm like deliberately trying not to put this card in, and then I feel it. I feel having 4 mana and not being able to play this. It's such a good card. But playing this means that you essentially are eventually going to give them 3 gold because you're giving them 3 creeps, right? So that's things you got to consider as well. You know, they're sitting on 2 gold. Do you really want to throw a creep at them to give them 3, which could potentially give them a healing potion? So there's, I guess, where some of the strategy comes in. How important is tempo in Artifact? It looks like yeah, tempo is kind of important. Like at the start of the game, if you've got really strong red heroes and they're versing really weak blue heroes, like this, you can kind of see the matchups here, can't you? If you put a Centaur against a Skywrath and you've got a Keith against an Outworld, you've got 10 gold from that if they're facing off against each other and they've lost some of their options. So then from that point, you've like, okay, I can buy some cheaper items, I can buy some regeneration, or you can start saving that, and then you can really start pushing that advantage. That being said, it's easy to recover tempo. So if you did have those 2 blue heroes out, for example, and you did lose them, they can come back and they can do something to alleviate some of that pain. You know, they can Oh, I can't show you. I can't. But there's options for them. That's what my point is. So you can take the game over if you just consistently are just building tempo by tempo by tempo and just getting, you know, your hero stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's what Black Red does pretty well. Just pushes the tempo very much like the song. Whereas something like a Blue Green can recover fairly easily from losing tempo. So it's important, but it's not going to just take the game over like in Hearthstone where you just have card advantage and tempo and then you just can't come back from that. So tempo is important and does play a big part. Like you notice it when your heroes get placed badly. Like let's say you got a hero killer deck and none of your heroes are placed against an enemy hero. You feel that the first round, you're like, shit, I would have really liked that 5 gold, or I really would have liked that 10 gold in some cases. So yeah, tempo is useful. Do you know if pack bought in beta is permanent? Yes, it should be. Thanks for the info. Already said people tried to make him work. Make who work, sorry? A new card is released. Yeah. What kinds of archetypes does Abaddon fit into? Abaddon is just a good hero. Just good. You can put him in any green deck. Aphotic Shield is underrated in my opinion. Hopefully I can show you why. It's underrated because of this keyword here, purge. So what this does is it checks for enemy effects on your unit that you've casted on, or if you cast it on the enemy, on their unit. So if they've buffed up a hero incredibly high, it will purge all those effects off. All of those modifier effects will be gone. Not items, but all the modifications. So you can neuter a hero, or you can take off all the negative effects from yours. So you can take off the viscous nasal goo, for example, from yours. So this can save your heroes or your creeps. It also, with borrowed time, which I'm not sure I can talk about yet. There it is. Yep, I can talk about. Borrowed time is up very often, and that heals him and makes him immune. So I've used this at times where I've known that Luna's Eclipse would come out, for example. And that means that a few Eclipse beams will just be wasted. They just hit him and do no damage, and then they can hit him again and do no damage. So in the perfect situation, all the beams could go on that one hero that's damage immune and could block it completely. It's good at blocking Lich's ulti. For example, Lich's signature, Chain Frost. So he is quite useful in... He doesn't need to be a combo piece. He can just be useful at any stage if you have a green deck. But if you have a combo green deck, then it might be better to have that combo piece. So it depends where he's going to slot in. But he's a good hero. You can never look at him or have him in a deck and say that I shouldn't have put him in, because he's just good. He kills creeps outright with 4 attack. He's got a lot of health. He's always going to be healing up. It's going to be really hard to kill him. You need a condemn to get rid of him. If you get the beta code, do we get a full game when it's launched? Yes, you get what you would have got if you paid the $20, I believe. So the two playable decks and the 10 packs. Colors being added to the game, that would be interesting. I think the 4 colors that they have suit the styles just right, though. I'm not sure what another color would be. It'd have to be something completely different that I can't think of right now. Tofu. What do you think are some of the higher level considerations in Artifact besides initiative? You need to predict what they are going to do. That is the highest level play. You need to predict what they are going to do and where they're going to do it and where they're going to play it, and what necessarily what they have in hand isn't as important, because you can see their deck list and you know generally what their options are, and they do have a lot of cards in their hand in Artifact. Generally speaking, you have more cards in your hand than you would in say Hearthstone. So you're going to always consider that they have an option in their deck list, in their hand. So you're going to consider what they're going to do, predict what they're going to do. That is the highest level play. So an example would be if you're in deployment phase, you got to predict where they're going to deploy and what they're going to try to accomplish. So maybe they want to win the third lane. You know they want to win that third lane. So maybe you put you know, a blue hero in there to prep for an annihilation, for example. All right. Is Aphotic Shield the only purge effect? No. So basically Val gifted you $40. Yeah. What do you think about the green-blue deck with Abaddon, Enchantress, Zeus, Crystal, Maiden, and Luna? Do you want me to tell you if that would work? It could work, yes. But I think Crystal Maiden right now is very hard to navigate. Yeah, she's got her Arcane Aura, but 5 health and 2 attack is really hard right now until there's more kind of combo-y, kind of needs a specific amount of mana and 2 cards to be played specifically in order. I don't think she's going to be that useful. Hunger urges me to walk away. See you, Griffin. In the artifact keylessness must change. All right, I might as well just draw it now, actually. And then those who want to stick around to ask me more questions, I might stick around for another 10 or 15 minutes. All right, so I'm going to draw the beta codes now. I'm not going to show you their email addresses, though, because I will get in trouble for that. But what Gleam is doing right now is, I'm just jumping in, is I press a button and it picks 2 winners. So I'm going to have 2 winners in front of me. It's going to be their names that they've entered in the first and last name. So it won't be your screen name, guys. So tell me if it's you. All right, first winner is... All right. Give me a sec. It's loading. All right, first winner is Brandon Hyde. Brandon Hyde. Is there a Brandon Hyde in this chat? It's probably unlikely considering there's thousands of people that entered this and there's 120 people right now, I think, on the chat. It's me. Yeah, right. Jundo 99. No, I'm going to email them. So the email that they've put here is what I'm going to send it to. So if, Brandon, if you see this in my VOD, my VOD, VOD, if you see this in my VOD, I've emailed you, check your email, it'll be there. Next winner is JJ Hood. Is there a JJ Hood here? JJ Hood. JJ Hood. Is that you, Free? Free, are you JJ Hood? Is that you, Free? Let me have a look if there's another way I can find out. I'm gonna search for JJ Hood in my user base. Can I say your email address so you're okay with that? Is that you? Because let me click on your name. Because JJ Hood's Twitch TV thing is free baits. Twitter is something different. Email is something different. It says United States. It is you. Congratulations, man. I'm glad someone was in the chat. I'm glad someone who won was in the chat. That is awesome. Yeah, I won't mention their email because you know what happens. I'm sorry to everyone I didn't win. Everyone's not going to be happy with that, but at least Free, you got it. So Free, I'm going to be sending you this. I'll send you this code as soon as I can. To my other winner, Brandon Hyde, I'll be shooting you an email. But Free, do you want to just... Yeah, I'll shoot you an email, Free, at this address here. The one that you put on Gleam, is that the one that is current? Because I'm sending it there, so just make sure you log in and get that, all right? So after I log off here, I'm going to send you the code. So congratulations, guys. It was cool. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm really glad for you. I'm really happy for you, man. You did have a lot of entries, though, so I got to expect, like, because you had 7 entries for the beta code competition. Yeah, which was, which was the highest amount you could do. So well done, man. Well done. All right. Now, guys, let's finish it off with some more questions. I want some difficult questions though. Give me some difficult ones for Artifact, because I'm like for the people just joining me and people that are probably going to leave after this, what I want is something that someone in the closed beta could answer legally, but something that is not necessarily easy to answer. 7 as well, yeah. 7 entries around average. Yeah, 7 entries is the highest. Well, I think 9 technically is the highest. But there was a lot of people who only had 1 or 2 entries. Make Arcane Sensor work. How do you make this work? God. All right, so at the start of my beta experience, I tried making a deck that was all about hindering the opponent. Now, I can't talk about exactly what I put in it, but there is lock effects, which I can't talk about, and there is effects that lower Tower's mana, so I combined the two. You've got Tyler Estate, and you've got Arcane Sensory, and those together, and then some lock effects as well, meant that your opponent is just really crippled. Does it work? Yeah, it works, but you can't tell how successful it is because you're not playing against it. If you play against it, I think you'll be able to really assess it, but it's not very strong right now because it's inconsistent, and inconsistencies really cost you a few games. You want some level of reliability with the cards that you have, and if you censor, one lane, or if you mana drain one lane, they could just move on to the next, for example. They can abandon that lane and just push in another, or if they're a deck that's just about hero killing, they won't really mind that much, for example. So it works well against certain decks and certain players, but to make it work, you need a combination of strong heroes, lock, and mana removing abilities. So those are the 3 things you need. I can't really talk about the exact cards you need though. All right. What are the 5 best revealed heroes in my opinion? I think I've mentioned that. Bounty Hunter. Let's just go through heroes. Bounty Hunter. We'll go with Sniper. We'll go with Axe and Legion. And we'll go with Phantom Assassin. I think even... It's a really hard one. I reckon even saying Sniper is 1 step down, and we'll throw a blue hero in there like Kana or Luna. It's really hard to just pick 5, honestly, because there's 4 colors. And there's a lot of good heroes in each color. I mean... If I had to pick 1 from every color, it would probably be Bounty Hunter, Kana, a Legion, and a Phantom Assassin. Oh, not Phantom Assassin, sorry. Bounty Hunter, Legion, Kana, and where's the green? Green's a hard one because green's really just like all okay heroes. I think Drow. We'd have to go with Drow. So, 90 for Twitch sub. Yeah, exactly. Do you think the game's going to be expensive? No, it's going to be a lot cheaper, Orcluck. The reason it's going to be cheaper, and that's a good question, is because you always get a rare in a pack. And there's not that many rares, actually. In Hearthstone, to be competitive, and I know this because I was Legend player, you need to have specific decks, and those decks almost always have a legendary card in them, and multiples in most of them. And to get a legendary, it's like 1 every 20 packs, if you're lucky. I remember spending $50 American, which is more money for me, pre-ordering these new expansions, and opening all of those packs that I got and only getting one legendary out of them all, which is ridiculous, right? Like, so if I was to spend the same amount of money in Artifact, I would get, for $50 American, I would get 25 packs and I would get a guaranteed 25 rares, which is crazy when you think about it, right? 25. That means I might have, you know, potentially 25 axes that I can just sell on the market and get my money back, right? So definitely will be cheaper than Hearthstone at a competitive level. To get all the cards is going to be much easier. Best value spell card. That is an interesting question. That is a really interesting question. I think I mentioned it before, which it is. I can see it now, but I'm just going to just double check that that's the best. I guess is what you consider value. Like an example is enough magic costs 5, but it can win you the game, right? You can stop them casting Annihilation or Luna's Eclipse or anything like that just immediately, and it'll just make your heroes kill their heroes. It could win you the game. If we're talking spells and not just signatures, if we're talking just spells that aren't signatures, I think Dimensional Portal is probably one of the most well-statted value cards, because it gives you 12 worth of stats for 4. And I don't think there's any minion in the game that's like that. No. There's 4, and that gives you 4/4 in 1. Yeah. It's probably the best in terms of value. And then we've got signatures, obviously, like Savage Wolf is really good, and Jewel is really good. And then I'm trying to think if there's any more. I'll give you one. What is the best passive ability? What is the best active and passive that heroes have? I'll show you. This one. Deal 8 piercing damage to a unit. This is the only reason why you could use Lion. If that wasn't there, you wouldn't be able to use him. This is basically like casting a lesser version of a Assassinate, which is really cool. All right. Do you think the meta will shift with upcoming beta? Yes, 100%. 100%. Like I said, more average people will be entering, and won't just be professional, you know, card game players that are in the beta, and they'll start experimenting. You know, they'll have less cards to play with. So yes, it will change. How do you feel about Splash? One hero of other color. It's been done. Yeah, like I said, you can splash in something like a Venomancer. You can splash in something like a Kana. You can splash in... Blue splashes very well, which is convenient because it's blue. What else can you splash in? You can splash in a Rix just for the rapid deployment. But I hate having Truth to Power. Just... yeah, you can splash a few heroes in. It's possible. It's entirely possible. There's a deck right now that splashes in red. 2 red heroes and very little red cards in that deck. So, it can definitely happen. Wanted to learn about lock effects. Sorry, can't say anything. What have they said about lock elsewhere, Grey Donny? We've seen a lock card in BTS talked about it. I don't want to make sure that I spoil anything. Do you find yourself playing against the same decks? Yes and no. I find myself playing against a few that are particularly good, or not good, or particularly consistent and have been discovered already. I feel like there's a lot that hasn't been discovered. There needs to be a lot more experimenting. So yes, I have played against a few of the same. But it seems like everyone adds their own flavor to those same decks. Like they'll take out something, they'll put in something else. Like there isn't a bad... like in Hearthstone, if you swap a few cards out, it's usually just to counter something else. Like you might want to have some kind of weapon removal in a deck, for example. So you might splash that in. But in Artifact, there's a lot of cards that make sense. So you can just splash in what your own kind of flavor is. So I think it's less likely that you run into the exact same deck over and over again. but there is less cards, so you will start to see the same combinations. So it's really hard to say until we get into the beta with a lot more people. But as of right now, because we're playing almost the same people over and over again, we do start to see similar decks. What do you think the tournament format is going to be? I think it's going to be constructed, honestly. I don't think they'll be able to do limited. Is it good or bad that Artifact doesn't have mulligan? I actually never even think about it, to be honest. There's a few cases where I've gotten like, 3 Eclipses in my hand and 3 Assassinates, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, I can't do anything for a while, but you can make it work. I haven't really noticed not being able to mulligan. Do you think Valve will run into any issue when creating new cards? Are there any of the cards perhaps a bit limited in the design space? If you mean like cards that are limiting, like there's Hearthstone cards, like there was that one card that gave charge to minions under a certain attack. That was a very limiting card. It meant they couldn't build certain cards because of that. If there's anything like that, no, there isn't anything like that currently that I can think of in the format that will limit their future card building potential. Not that I can think of, at least. Yeah, nothing is just like would be crazy with certain interactions. I mean, potentially, like, for example, if there was a card that said that every time you fully heal a hero, you draw 7 cards. If that was a card like that, then Bloodseeker would just be ridiculous, right? But there isn't. There isn't anything just stupid like that. I mean, there could be a card that says if your opponent controls this creep, you win the game. And then in which case Holy Persuasion would be really good. But no, right now, current state, there isn't something that would limit them moving forward. Canadian pesos didn't go far in Hearthstone, yeah. Yeah, it's $150 a year in Hearthstone if you go through those 3 expansions, exactly right. And then you still don't have all the cards. I spent $150, I still didn't have all the cards. Whereas you probably need to spend, a fraction of that. I can't even calculate how much you would need, but you get a rare every card pack, so. What are drafts, and are you expecting draft to be in the game? I can't talk too much about it. So, unfortunately, I can't say anything, but it is in the game. Freebaits, $50 per expansion does get you. Yeah, exactly. Crypt spends 200 plus packs per expansion, easily, and he still doesn't have everything. He needs to start dusting. When does the next stage of beta open up? This month. Can you give the AI a deck to practice against? I think I can talk about this. You can make any deck you want and give it to the AI. You can give them random cards. They can just have a random deck, completely random. You have a lot of control over AI. So expect a lot of people just to play AI because it is still very fun playing against AI. All right. Do you have any information on how they talk about you're not playing on the grand ladder, but you're playing more against your friends? How does that work? What do you mean? Do you have any information on how they talk about you're not playing on a grand ladder? Oh, I'm not too sure. I don't have any information on that just yet. I don't have much information on how the ladder's going to work, honestly. Playing against your friends is really easy, though. Really easy. You can spectate them. You can invite them to a game with you. You can see their deck lists. You can watch their replays. You can copy their decks. It's going to be real easy. How do you like the game? Yes, I already did my giveaway. Sorry, Diazo Soul. Recently found this game. I think it looks amazing. Yeah, check out my channel, man. I'm going to have a lot of videos coming up very soon. But I love the game. The game is really good. It's the best card game I've ever played. It's really good. Is Meepo the sleeper hero of the set? No, Charox. No, he really isn't. Until more cards come out to support him, he's going to be really hard to play. Because like I mentioned before, you might not have been here, but if you have 4 out on the board and 4 die, it gives the opponent 20 gold. Okay, because they all die. If you kill 1, they all die. I just realized even when I do get in the beta, I'm playing against pros. Meanwhile, rank 18 on Hearthstone. Well, not really. A lot of people are getting the beta codes that aren't pros, so you'll be okay. What are drafts and what are you expecting draft to be in the game? I can't really answer that. Drafts are in the game though. The lock card can't be played for X turns. You might be correct. Who knows? Mangoy, you might be. Lock is the value of turns that the card can't be played. You might be correct, Grey Donny. Don't know. Are Better Late Than Never and Dimensional Portal even somewhat at power level? That is a good question. I'll show you. They're both spells. All right. So this is Dimensional Portal. And where's Better Late Than Never? There it is. Better Late Than Never. So Better Late Than Never is, in my opinion, not as good as Dimensional Portal. The pros for Better Late Than Never, 1 less mana, and you can deploy a creep into any lane. The negative is it's summon a melee creep, which means you can't place it. It gets summoned to first opposite an enemy, and if there's more than one enemy, opposite a random enemy, and if there's no enemy to be opposite to, it's either left or right of your board. So you have no control over where they go. The other negative is you get much less value than you do with Dimensional Portal. Dimensional Portal costs 1 more mana, but summons 3 melee creeps. The negative is you can only do it in the lane that you're in. The positive is that you get 3 of them. It is quite a bit better. So I like Dimensional Portal better. I haven't seen Better Late Than Never used that much, but it is good for chump blocking. If you need to chump block, it's pretty good. That's the only use for it I can see right now. Good for chump blocking. It's not really that good for pushing, because if you want to push harder, there's other spells for that, like Soul Venom, Dimensional Portal. Just Prey on the Weak. Immediately you see 3 cards that are better for pushing. You don't really need the put that into the lane early kind of situation when you're not doing it to chump block. Usually if you want to push a lane hard, you have that blue hero in there already and you can cast those spells. Okay? Why do you think it will be constructed? Are you talking about tournaments? Well, the reason it will be constructed is because limited, there will be probably people complaining about just getting simply not as good a deck as someone else. So there's a lot less randomness in having a constructed tournament than there would be in a limited. Limited format could work. There could be limited tournaments for sure, but the $1 million tournament that Valve is going to be doing will be, I'm pretty sure, will just be constructed. All right. What are drafts and what are you expecting draft to be in game? I don't really want to answer that. But drafting essentially in other games is that you get given a cards that you choose from and you build a deck and then you challenge people who have done the same. Is there a deck size limit? No. Is there a number of decks limit? Not that I know of. I've made like 50 decks and I haven't gotten limited yet. So no, it's not like Hearthstone where you need to, chuck decks out. So that is actually a good piece of information I can give you. People are so positive about this game, it scares me. Bedazzle. I think the people who are positive about it are the people that have played it, which is a good sign, I guess. And the people who are looking forward to it are very few, actually. Like I put out a few videos for this and it doesn't get a lot of interest just now. So the people are either fanatical and they stick around. That's why it seems like there's more people positive about it, or they're playing the game, in which case they're positive because it actually is a good game. Are there any format warping cards revealed or not that you think about? Format warping cards? No, I wouldn't say so. I don't see there being a card that is just auto include or overpowered right now. There are cards, like if you're running blue, there might be an auto include card for that. Or if you're running red, there might be an auto include card for that. But there's never a card that you absolutely have to consider, right? Like if you're building a deck, you build it for your game. You build it to play around what you need to do. You don't build it because you absolutely 100% know there'll be a bolt of Demosils. Like you just, if that's there, that's there, but you got to play your own game. Is there some kind of ranking? Yeah, there is. There is. What's insane? Yeah. Do you think there'll be more than one limited format? I'm not sure. Right now, there's only one. Crip has all the cards. He just doesn't have them all in golden. That is true. What are drafts, and are you expecting draft to be in the game? Wow, you've asked that a lot. Does someone have a beta key for sale? Not me. People have asked to buy mine, but I'm not selling them. Would you change about artifact? I would buff certain cards. That's the only thing I would change. I would just buff and nerf certain cards. Not even nerf, just like, for example, one change I would make to Keith is I'd make his fighting instinct 2 or 3 mana. That's it. That's all I would do. Instead of 5. Another change I would make is I would give his Prowler Vanguards 1 attack. That's one change I would make. Just 1 from 0. I would give Bloodseeker more health. Just very small changes. Oh, thanks, Slugger. Really appreciate it, man. Saying thanks for the channel and Discord. Beers are like 1 week away. Is it worth having 2 artifact accounts? Asking for a friend? Probably not. I mean, you could trade yourself the cards that you get from the 10 packs that you get at the start of the game. You could do that. That's the only reason I would have 2. What are the drafts, and are you expecting draft to be? Oh my god, you've asked that so many times. Do people get matched and constructed randomly, or is there some sort of rank? Right now, in the current state of the game, they're just ironing out details with that. So we can't really talk about it, and we don't really know much about it. So there's not much I can say. I don't know if there's a deck slot limit, honestly. Like, I've made a lot of decks, and I haven't run into one yet. So that's all I'm saying. Like, I've made a lot. I've made like 50 decks, guys, and I haven't run into any. So if there's 51 deck limit, then I'm sorry. But right now, I've made like 50 decks, and there's no limit. So that means, 1, I haven't gotten there yet, or 2, there isn't one, in which case, yeah, you can filter between what you've named your deck, and that's how you have to find them. Remember when Hearthstone had 9 decks? Yep. What do you think of Cunning Plan? It's great. It's great. Cunning Plan is a great blue spell. Cunning Plan is something you throw in your deck if you want to make sure your blue heroes don't die. It also draws you a card, which is crazy for 2 mana. This is a good card. That's all I can say. It's a good card. Roseleaf Druid versus Salameme's Favor. It's a hard one. Let's look at them both. You mean which one's better? In which case... Do they even have Salameme's Favor here? I'll just say that they're both useful in their own situations, or they're both useful together. Hint, hint. Have you guys had any tournaments with multiple formats? Yes. Yes. Oh, no, you mean like a cross-format thing? No, we haven't done that. Do you think mono green is viable? Yes. It is. Is it going to be competitive? Not sure. Is it viable? Yes. What are the weaknesses? The weaknesses, you aren't supplemented by removal. You don't have any kind of slays or any kind of mass kind of condemns. Like, where is it? You don't have any annihilations, for example, or eclipses or thunder god. You don't have any strong kind of big spells that clear the board or kill specific heroes for you or kill specific creeps. That's the weakness of green. But you got to overwhelm them if you go mono green. Is there a burn archetype? No. Is there any kind of in-game reward system for playing yet? No. I didn't think I saw you at all. It's all right. There's deck sharing, right? Yes. So if you have 1 copy of a card and you share that deck, can you not use that card? No. If you need the cards to use the cards. I think anyway, because we just have all the cards in closed beta. How many cards do you normally put into your decks? 40. I like consistency. There's some decks that go higher than that, and that's only when they have a hero that has bad signature spells. If you put in a hero like Rix, for example, with Truth to Power, you don't really want Truth to Power to come up that much, so you might put more cards in your deck for that. Sell a meme's favor. Sell a meme's favor. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. Do most decks run 3 copies of all cards? Yeah, there's consistency, remember? Like, there's a few cards you wouldn't want 3 of. Like, we talk a lot about Annihilation, but you probably don't want 3 of that in your deck. But in most cases, if you have a particular playstyle, you run 3 of the spells or the creeps or the improvements, in most cases. Unless it's something like, you know, like Howling Mind, for example, you might not want 3 in, you might only want 2. Glyph of Confusion, you'd only have 1 in your deck, or 2 at most. What 2 colors have the strongest synergy? Oh, that's a hard one, man. There's a hard one. So I've got the top 4 decks of the closed beta videos coming out when the NDA drops, and all of those have different combinations. All 4 of them are different combinations. There's a black, red, there's a red, green, there's a green, blue, and there's a blue, black, I believe. So yeah, there's all different combinations. You can make anything work. Thanks for everything, man. Can't wait. No problem, Godspeed. No problem. A mystery or Thunderhide pack? A mystery. I personally think a Mystery of the Quorum is one of the stronger green cards. This guy here, you can't understand just how powerful this is until you use it. That's all I can say. You will find, even if this hits only one thing, which is never going to happen, it is incredibly strong because you do it every single turn. This comes out as a 2/2/12. Just because it modifies itself as soon as you play this. I mean, as soon as you hit the active. So that is a crazy, crazy, crazy card. Where you use the Thunderhide packs is from the Horns of the Alpha. That's the most of the time you want it coming out of a Horn more than you want it to play 8 mana for it. Just saying. Best 4-drop for green. I haven't even considered mana costs yet. Best 4-drop. I don't think it's here. But Salameme's Favor is really good. Salamene. Salamene and the Dark Moon. Yeah, that's probably the better 4-drop out of these. Because no matter what lane you're in, as long as it's a green hero, you can cast this into any lane. And usually you can cast it in the lane that you're going into. So if you cast this from the first lane, you cast it into the second, and that second lane now has 6 mana to use. Which is nuts. Because then you can do something a lot more powerful that your opponent can't deal with. Well, there's nothing here that I can show you, but you get the point. I don't want to know when the NDA drops, but do you know when it drops? No. Don't know the exact date. This is a up in the air thing. But it is this month. Are there any cards with discount mechanics? Shit, let me think about that. No. There isn't. Something I wasn't sure about. It seemed like there was possible to put less than 5 heroes in your deck. No. You can't put less than 5 heroes. You have to put 5 heroes in your deck. You will be told that your deck is invalid if you put less than 5. If you put 5 of the same hero, it will tell you that it's invalid as well. The only way you can have more heroes is in limited. And I can't talk too much about that. Not more than 5, but more of the same. All right. So, are there mechanics we haven't seen yet? Oh, that's a good one. Let me think about that. You have to give me a second. I don't think so. I think you've seen a taste of everything, but you haven't seen how it all works and can work together. So I think you've seen the mechanics side, like you've seen Even lock has been kind of revealed. So you've seen that. I don't think there's any other mechanics that you haven't. Unless I'm forgetting something. Yeah, I don't think so. I think you've seen everything, but only a taste. Can you go above 9 items? Yes. You can't have more than 3 copies of each item. So you can go above 9, but you can have more than 3 copies. I feel like tech items are one-offs. Like, I believe, yeah, Orb is good in decks that don't have any way to remove improvements. I've seen a deck that runs 3 orbs, and that's just because they don't have any other way to remove improvements. Do I still have to purchase the game? Nah, because I even have the closed beta access as well, so although the beta access as well, so I don't have to. I find it fun how we refer to it as closed and open, even though open isn't really open. Yeah, it's not, is it? It's not. There's no other word for it, is there? It's just like limited closed beta, and then the next one coming is closed beta. Do you think the RNG passives like Ogre Magi are competitive? No. That's a good one, Joe. That is a good one, Joe. Joe Wetmore says, do you think Ogre Magi and other RNG passives are competitive? No. The only reason you would use Ogre Magi competitively is for his signature card. Would you use the 25% chance to put a base copy? I have run a deck with Ogre Magi and Outworld, because they have these chances with blue cards, and just done an all blue deck and tried to just get like, you know, doubles of the Bolt here. I tried to get doubles of another card that's not revealed yet. And when it doesn't proc, you really feel it. You really do. And then there was one game where I used Foresight and I kept getting it back. I mean, I played Foresight, got it back. Played Foresight, got it back. Played Foresight, got it back. And I was like, I've just drew my whole deck. So there's cards, there's situations where this card can work, and there's situations where it just hurts terribly. And that's not what you want when you're doing, you know, $1 million are on the line. Grand final. Thanks for the cheer, man. Really appreciate. True Nox.
Preemptive salt cheer for when you miss lethal in your streams after NDA lifts.
I think I actually uploaded a game where I missed lethal one turn, but it didn't end up mattering. So that's there. Thanks, man. You don't want to be in the grand final, $1 million on the line, and the 25% chance not to proc. And you don't want to be in the grand final, $1 million on the line, and that 25% chance procs, and then they double bolt you. So you definitely, this is a card that I think you won't see too much competitively for the multicast unless they make good use of the signature card as well. Okay, hopefully that helps. Giveaway already happened, yes. Do you think yeah, okay. Yep, November 29 is the official release date. Beta should be soon though. Or 28th, sorry. Aside from Keith, are there any heroes you feel are held back by not having an ability? There's not many that don't have an ability, honestly. It's just, where is he? It's just Magnus doesn't have an ability, but he has high stats and he has a good signature card. So he isn't held back at all. Then we have Mazzy, 3 armor. The only hero in the game that has 3 armor. So is he held back by not having a sig? You can basically, does he held back by not having an ability? You basically can say that his ability is give 3 armor, which is very, very good. Who else do we have that we can talk about? Can't talk about. Axe is just 2 armor is his ability. Yeah, no. The answer is no. I think when they don't have an ability, it's usually because they are very strong or they have a good signature. Even the 50% chance cards, yeah. Like there's a 50% chance card I'm not sure I can talk about that does everything does something to the board, the complete board. And even that is like, oh, if it doesn't go off, you're feeling it. Are there any direct tower damage spells aside from... Yes, there are. There are. Trinox. There is definitely direct tower damage spells. Dirty Deeds. Yep, that is one of them, but there's more. How easy, hard is it to remove improvements? I know there are some cards revealed to do that. It is both hard and not hard to remove improvements. It's hard in that you're not going to run more than like 3, removal kind of improvement abilities or spells. It's easy in that there are ways to remove them. If you are needing to counter that kind of deck, you can put in quite a few ways of removing them or making them useless or whatever. So, what's your favorite card that costs less than 3 mana? Jewel, probably. It's probably Jewel. I just love how good Jewel is with black heroes. Oh, not black heroes, with red heroes, sorry. Bronze Legionnaire is one of the better creeps for less than 3 mana. Bronze Legionnaire is basically overstatted for what it is. If you look at something like Untested Grunt, he doesn't even get the 2 armor for the same cost. But Untested Grunt is still good. That's saying a lot about Bronze Legionnaire. It's just a good quality creep. The only reason you wouldn't put him in is if you can't find space for him. And that can happen, honestly. Like I made many decks without him. Do you mean less than 3? It's Charnox. Yeah, it's both hard and not hard to do. Danville's answer to any question. The reason I say that and is also why I explained both sides. It depends on the situation, right? Like I explained that in the situation where it isn't common in the meta, it might be hard to do because you simply don't put that many removal, improvement and removal options in your deck. In that case, it's hard. It's easy if you have preemptively put a lot in your deck. So to answer your question, if you are worried about improvements, it's easy to do. It's easy to remove improvements. Let's keep going here with the less than 3 mana. So 2, 1, or 0 mana basically is what we're looking at. Yeah, I think things like Ventriloquy and Cunning Plan are really good as well, especially because they're in a blue deck and they can help keep those blue heroes alive. But if you put them with red or black, they can help get you kills as well. Aphotic Shield is really good as well. Yeah, I think it's probably Jewel for me at least. Have you? Are any of the symmetrical card effects any good? Confusion Rune, Tyler's Estate. I'm going to say no. On average, no. I know you like straight up answers instead of me saying yes and no, so no. You would think it's anti-control or anti-rush, Tyler Estate, but it's hard to make it. Like I said before, it's hard to make work unless you build around it. You can destroy it, just like deaden a lane, but in which case your opponent just says that lane's dead as well, and then you just have 2 fronts you're fighting on instead of just 1. Usually you win 1 lane, you are battling it out in 1 lane, and the opponent has won 1 lane. That's usually how it goes in most games. So there's 1 contested lane that you really need to fight over, and then with this, you throw it in that contested lane, and either your opponent abandons it and takes on a lane that you were winning previously, or you abandon it and your opponent just wins that lane. It's really, because it affects both towers, it kind of doesn't really hurt your opponent that much as you think it would, because you'll always have late game options kind of as well, depending on your deck. If you put this in an aggro deck, it simply just doesn't find place. Doesn't find the space, because you much rather play an Assault Ladders over a Tyler Estate. You much rather put down the Oath. It does something immediately. This kind of doesn't. Even like a Trebuchet, which isn't that good, would be better than Tyler Estate, I think. So it's hard to make work. Cursed Satire, I don't like it. Don't like that card. It kind of blocks itself consistently every turn. Where is it? Yeah, this. It initially starts off okay, and then once the zombies start coming, it's a bad card. Because it just makes chump blockers permanently at that point. Any deck you can construct without the known cards. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, most definitely. Lots of decks. I can make one for you now, if you want. I won't have the exact numbers in front of me, so I won't be able to do it properly, but I said it before. I'll do a black red deck. So for the heroes, we put Axe up front, we put Bristle, and we put and we put Phantom Assassin. Then coming up, we can put Bounty Hunter, and we can put either Legion Commander or a Sniper, depending on what kind of stage of game you want to go. Sniper will do it more of a late game deck. Legion Commander will be more of an early game deck. So if I was to put Sniper in, I would replace Bristleback with Legion Commander. Then let's just go with the Legion Commander, Bristleback, Axe, Bounty Hunter, and Phantom Assassin deck. Then I'd throw in some Mercenary Exiles. I'd throw in 3 of those. I'd throw in a few Bronze Legionnaires. I'd throw in 1 or 2 ganks, 1 or 2 hip fires, 1 slay, 1 relentless pursuit, 3 pickoffs, 3 paydays, 2 time of triumphs, and throw in 3 Ironflog gold mines. And depending on how many cards are left, I put in some steam cannons. And that would be a deck. And that would work really well. So there's your deck. All right. Why only 1 or 2 hip fires? Well, because of space. That is the reason. I said 1 or 2 depending on space, but if there's space, you'd put in 3. You don't need that many slays, you don't need that many ganks, and you don't need... The reason gank is situational. Like in a lot of cases, some black heroes will just simply die if you gank, and you don't need it that often. Relentless Pursuit is just to get to a black hero to where they need to be. And that's not very common as well. You want 3 paydays and you want 3... where is it? Ironflog gold mines, because the deck will do really good with gold. Really good, because of the strong hero effects. They will control the board, you will be getting kills. And then you have all the control options you need between Duel and Coup de Grace. You have Berserker's Call, you have a lot of options with that deck. That's a really strong deck. Alright. Talk to you later, my man. So, Abracadabra Cobra. Abracadabra Cadabra. Can't even, that's... What about items? Items is an interesting one. So because you have gone like a kind of payday deck, let's go to the items. What I would do is I would put in 3 Horns of the Alpha. I'd put in 3... Where is my fave? Vesture of the Tyrants. Put in 3 of those. 3 of these, 3 of those. And then I would supplement those with 1 Apotheosis Blade. And then the other 2 that I would put in is dependent on my playstyle. So for me, it would be 2 Blink Daggers. Wherever they are. There. I put in 2 Blink Daggers. And that's 9. And I might, depending on how the deck plays, because we get a little gold, we can supplement that with slightly more cards than we would need, because we know we'd run through those 9 if we get lucky. So I might put in some Stonehall Cloaks just to start ramping health up for a lower cost. That's how I would do it with that kind of deck. If it was, like a blue green deck, I would put in like 3 Short swords, I'd put in 3. Traveler's cloak, and I'd put in 3. Just the most basic leather armors, because you struggle getting gold in those kinds of decks. My phone's about to die. Misspelled twice. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Yeah, so you really do with the gold ram decks, you really want to either save your gold until you can payday, or you want to buy out a big item. That's generally what you want to do. Horns of the Alpha will finish the game for you. Vesture of the Tyrant will make sure they can't finish the game and will make your heroes basically... I consider rapid deployment as unkillable because they get killed, they're given the gold, but they're right back in that lane before they can do anything about it without them being there. So it's a really good item. All right, I think I might end it there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been longer than I thought it would. 11:21, but I'm going to get to making some more videos on Artifact. I've got a lot ready to go. So many. It's just sitting there just taunting me. I've got like a page of videos just absolutely taunting me, which is just driving me nuts. But as soon as this NDA is up, we'll be good to go. But hopefully I answered all your questions. If you've got any more, just shoot me a message on Discord in the Artifact section, or shoot me a message on Twitter. If you're not following me there, follow me there. That'd be great. If not, if you like this kind of stuff, I'll be streaming almost every day when the game comes out. Right now, I'm just having a bit of a break, so it won't be daily. I also try my hand at some Fallout when that comes out. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. 2-hour stream. Thanks, Free. Free, well done again. Congratulations to Free and Brandon. I will be shooting you that email very, very soon. So during the shopping phase, how often do you buy cards from the pre-built item deck secret shop? Almost every turn if you've got the gold. So almost every turn. It's rare for you not to buy at least something. All right. Take care, guys.